Hey everyone, welcome to Koopa Kast number 73, not 3, 73.
Reboot.
This is the gritty reboot of the Koopa Kast. I am your host, as always, Matt, the multimedia manager of PNM and PureNintendo.com, your independent source for all things Nintendo. Joining me today is Justin Sharp,
Hey everyone, good to be here.
and that's it. And as you saw with today's topic, we are doing yet another episode. This will be our third episode. So I did get that right. This
Hey.
is our third time that we are doing the In My Defense series of our Koopa Cast, where we have to defend something about a game or a certain game in general, or in this case, we're going to be going on the offensive against games.
Yes, take them on.
And today we are going to be talking about a game that everybody loves that, we might not think is all that great or awful.
Oh,
So this is the worst best game. And for anyone listening out there, if you have a game that you just don't get, let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to read them aloud. If you have a Google Plus account, you can always go to the link that we provided at KoopaCast and just leave a comment right there. And then for those of you who are watching and have a Twitter account, you can always tweet at PureNintendo using the hashtag KoopaCast. So Justin already told me his game, and I'm prepared to defend it here. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and tell us your terrible, terrible opinion?
Well, I had a hard time choosing a game, really. I mean, it took a couple minutes to decide, really. But I kind of narrowed it down. I like most games that I play. I really do. And the first game that I thought of, and don't throw rocks at me yet, but the first game I thought of was Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. As you know of it, it is Mother 2, since we now have Earthbound Beginnings. The original Mother that came out in Japan is now available around the world. But I didn't feel like I could defend my opinion with Earthbound as well because I've never beaten the game. And so, I've tried to play the game several times, both when I was younger and circling back around to it a couple years ago to, all the hype that was surrounding it. And I just couldn't get into it. And maybe I just need to play it some more. So I didn't want to say that was my game that I didn't like that was popular. So I decided on the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and I'm sure a lot of people will be like, "Oh, why would you pick a game like that? That's awesome." And the reason I picked Majora's Mask, I would say, and I do have reason to, I've got a good basis. I've beaten the game. I've 100%ed it. I've gotten all the masks and got the, Fierce Deity mask to turn into Oni Link and all that. And it was a fun game, but I feel like the hype that surrounds it, maybe it's just in recent years, like people were just pining, hey Nintendo, you need to remake Majora's Mask, blah blah blah. I don't know, maybe it's just like all the hype surrounding it. I just don't get all the hype about it. I mean, it's a good game, and I like some of the unique aspects about it, but I don't think it's the best unique Zelda by any means. So. Come at me, man.
Completely disagree with that. It is the best unique Zelda because it's in that category of Zelda where it's like, all right, we don't have much time, we don't have much of a budget, let's try something completely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. There's no Ganon in this one. Zelda's like in the first 5 seconds, then we forget about her. And in this one, they're like, all right, what can we do to make this like a distinct, unique thing so people aren't saying, oh, this is Ocarina of Time too. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, what if we made Link really care about like this new community? And it's like, you have 3 days to save all these people, but you get to know these people. You get to know their schedules. You get to know their hopes and dreams, and you can kind of see them change over the next 3 days. And that's amazing. Like, I didn't care about anybody in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Ganon's evil. Okay, I get it. Oh, okay, I'm going to steal your horse. Okay, you feel better. Whatever, It's like, yeah, well, next dungeon. With Majora's Mask, it's like, I got to help these people. I got to help these two get back together so they can get married. I got to help stop this cow abduction, which was a very, very fun thing to do, and it was like a way better horse and bow and arrow game than what they had in Ocarina of Time. What else can I say about this game that's very very awesome? It has so much more of like just a darker and deeper tone, and it's not like dark for the sake of dark. It's like we understood the meetings, we understood like the sorrow and the people going through like grieving and like somebody who doesn't want to accept their own death, and it's like you can see that, and it's like even though you only see them for like the Goron, you only like talk to the Goron whose mask you grab for like only like a few minutes maybe. And then after that, you see the little cutscene where all the Gorons are cheering him on, and then like he just kind of accepts that he died and that somebody else can help the Gorons. It's like that's awesome. I cared more about that guy than I ever did about the Gorons in Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a good game, and you bring up some good points. But you mentioned like best unique Zelda, and I still think that's far beyond Link's Awakening. I mean, Link's Awakening is so good. You mentioned a game where they're like, didn't have the budget and we're just kind of like piecing stuff together. I mean, that's Link's Awakening right there. I mean, they kind of built Link's Awakening kind of in their free time, and it doesn't have Ganon, it doesn't have a lot of the usual Zelda elements. I mean, it's got dungeons and stuff, but Majora's Mask has that too. But I do really like the 3D mechanic. I thought that was a cool, unique thing in Majora's Mask. I like a lot of the dungeons in it, but I guess like when I compare it to like some of the other Zelda games that I've played, and just like the constant overload of I don't know, like it's almost, I mean, like Wind Waker, kind of peaked in popularity a few years back, or I guess 2 or 3 years back when they did the HD remake, and people were like, "Oh, it's the best Zelda ever," whatever, The Zelda fans are so fickle. It's like the current Zelda game is never the best Zelda game.
Absolutely,
hands down. It's like Skyward Sword came out, and it got some good critical reception, but for the most part, people are like, whatever. Twilight Princess, now that's the game. It's always like the one before, because now they're like, oh, now we know what this new Zelda's like. Nah, I like the old one. We're very fickle, but I don't know. I feel like Majora's Mask has just been so built up on this pedestal over the last several years of fans just like wanting Nintendo to do something about it. Now finally we've got our our 3D remake of it, so it's tapering off quite a bit. But I don't know. I never understood all the hype around
it. It definitely was like a sleeper hit. Like Majora's Mask came out, and everyone was like, it's not as good as Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And it's like when I first played it, I kind of agreed. I was like, yeah, you're right. This isn't really Ocarina of Time. There's only like 4 dungeons. Yeah. 5 if you count the whole moon sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's no Ganon, there's no Zelda. You're only a kid. You're not the adult anymore.
Yeah. And maybe I need to revisit the game some more, because like you mentioned, like some of the emotional connections. When I first played through the game, I didn't make a lot of those connections. It didn't really faze me that much when I first played through it. And I bought the game, I don't know, maybe a year after launch or something. I still was able to get a collector's edition. But those were a lot more prevalent in the Ocarina of Time one. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't have that impact for me at that point. And coming off of Ocarina of Time, it was just great having Zelda in 3D now, and it was such a really good game. I don't know. Maybe if I replayed it again, I'd feel differently. I haven't picked up the 3D version yet, but so maybe I need to replay it, and I'll change my opinion. But
one of the biggest complaints I had about Ocarina of Time, they fixed in Majora's Mask. And in Ocarina of Time, one of my biggest things I talk about is that field that we have. Like, people thought that going into the field was the greatest thing ever. And it's awesome that we have a big open world, but there's nothing there. Like, there's Kokiri Forest, there's Death Mountain, there's Hylia here, there's the castle town down here, Gerudo Valley is like up here, and then here is like the farm.
Yeah, Long Lawn Ranch in the middle.
Oh yeah, Long Lawn Ranch. But then all this is like nothing. There's just nothing there. And you don't get to do anything until like the Poe hunt, I guess, when you're an adult.
Yeah.
There's like 2 or 3 holes maybe that you could find. But it's like, who cares about that? Like that, there was no exploring there. With Majora's Mask, they knew that they could not fit that much, or they knew how much they could put into the N64. So when it time came to make this world map, they made it smaller. They made it more condensed so they can put more things into it, and you could see much more like variation to it. Like you're not just walking in a field for 5 minutes to get to the next destination. Like, the entrance to like, say the forest area is like, like 100 feet outside the town gate,
Yep.
and then that's a whole new area. So like it felt like a much like variable world, and it felt like there's much more to do in less space. So it just felt like there was more there.
Yeah, a little more dense.
Yes, a little. Yeah, that would be the word for it. A little more dense there, and that's something that like I really appreciated that they did with Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I did really like the overworld. Termina was really cool. I liked going into the mountainous regions there. I loved rolling around with the Goron with the spikes. I mean, the transformations with the mask were really cool. I don't know. I mean, now I'm mentioning all the cool stuff with it, but I don't know. Still, like of all my experience with Zelda games, I still feel like out of the unique ones, or I don't know. I just feel like it's a little overhyped. I guess Majora's Mask. I don't know, and that just may be recent memory, because recent memory people are like, "Oh, Majora's Mask, it's finally coming out." Blah 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 blah. Like,
I think that really kind of peaked when somebody came up with like a quote unquote like high definition preview, or a preview of a high definition remake of Majora's Mask, which is like this fully like rendered 3D stuff.
Yeah.
And it was very smooth, and it was like everybody was very animated.
Yeah.
And to the guy's credit who made it, it looks really amazing.
Yeah.
And like that's something like that I just kind of wanted to make a Majora's Mask, like using what he created, and like because I think that would just be awesome. And I think people might, I don't know, I'm just assuming at this point, other people saw it and they're like, what if we had that, but in like the current generation? Like people wanted people to bring back like Majora's Mask, but I think they wanted something like a more of an overhaul than what we got with like the 3DS one. The 3DS one looks good, but they were looking for something like something that like the Wii U with their HD graphics can like bring in, and they wanted to like rebuild it. I guess they kind of wanted Nintendo to do what like Square Enix is doing in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, definitely. And Nintendo may still do some of that stuff eventually, but I remember when people were getting excited about an HD Majora's Mask after that video, and it really didn't make sense. I mean, the fact that they had already done a 64 conversion to 3DS. I mean, you just line up the dots, and it just makes a lot more sense to put it on the 3DS. And especially, I mean, like you mentioned, Majora's Mask was kind of a sleeper hit. I don't think that the Wii U crowd would necessarily have jumped on board as much with a Majora's Mask HD remake as the 3DS crowd, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but to a degree, like I think it depends on how much work we see. Like if it's just high-res polygons like what we see the 3DS, yeah, put it on the 3DS, and I think Wii U owners would be disappointed about that. But if we got like a ground-up remake, I think people would eat that up.
That's true, and that would be really cool. Someday something.
Yes, someday maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some of the remakes, it's a hard. Because I know, like with the Final Fantasy VII remake, you've got that really cool looking trailer, but it's going to be really hard for them to manage people's expectations. Because people are going to, like, what gameplay are they expecting? Is it going to be like, complete revamp, just all the same, scenes? I mean, like part of me doesn't want you to recreate the exact same game, just a new graphics or set pieces. You know what I mean? Like part of you wants like maybe just that world, but a little bit different, like kind of like how they remake movies a little bit. Like I don't know, keep it the same tones and everything, and same characters, but build off of it a little bit. I don't know, because I would be disappointed if we got the exact same dungeons, exact same bosses, exact same characters, exact same everything, just in HD for Majora's Mask. Like I don't know, to me that I don't know. But I'm not a whole into the HD remake crowd. But.
Right. No, I understand that. Like, I think it'd just be it'd have to be a rebuilt from the ground up kind of thing to like,
yeah,
to catch that highest expectations crowd.
Hmm.
Me being kind of one of them. If they made if they just ported an AC, I'd be kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'd be very disappointed as I'm buying it on my Wii U.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, this is terrible. I mean, I wanted the whole thing, and there you go, purchase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and like Wind Waker, I mean, they did improve it, but again, like it's, you know, I don't know. I would say it is most definitely the definitive version, the HD version, even though you missed out on some of the Game Boy Advance connectivity, but they replaced it with some other stuff. Anyway, I'm sure some people would still like the GameCube one better, but yeah, I would like if they did a remake to just build on it a little bit more, because they could even, I mean, they could add more characters, they could add larger Termina, they could add more dungeons. I mean, I would want them to take full advantage of it. If they were going to revisit Termina, do kind of like what Link Between Worlds did. I mean, you've got regular Hyrule. They added this Lorule. Kind of like a new twist on the Dark World from Link to the Past. You're kind of revisiting similar areas, but you still have this mystery of what this new world is and what new dungeons and new bosses you're going to find.
Like the moon is like a second thing, like a second half of the game.
Yeah, I think they could do a good job with broadening the world a little bit, rather than just a straight remake. But sorry, we're getting off on a tangent, I guess. But
well, we're still talking about Majora's Mask, so
yeah, we're still talking about Majora's
Mask. I feel like we're on topic.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't dislike most games that I play, but for figuring out this topic, I guess that was the most hyped game that I didn't believe all the hype, I guess. So.
I gotcha. And I wish I could have, I guess we'll transition on to my game. I wish I would have picked up, I had a perfect segue opportunity, but I didn't want to cut you off. I wanted to give you more time.
No. Okay.
But I also picked a Zelda game.
Yeah.
And
it's a Zelda game I disagree with, right?
Absolutely.
Skyward Sword. No.
And I decided to replay it some more. Get me ready. And I transferred all the data, right? Let me just start out with my experience turning this on with the Wii U, right?
Yeah.
Okay, turn it on, and it goes, okay. Make sure to connect the Wii Motion Plus. You can play it with also the Wii Remote Plus and the Nunchuck. It's like, okay, great. Now watch this 3-minute video about how to work the Wii Motion Plus. Can't skip it. No, you can't skip it. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch this hand put the Wii remote down to calibrate it, and all that nonsense. And it's like this isn't even the first Wii Motion Plus game, and I still have to watch this video. They didn't even have that in the game that got packaged with it, which was Wii Sports Plus.
Huh.
So it's like
I gotta watch that. I don't remember that video.
They totally made me watch that video.
Crazy.
I was like, you guys are.
I wonder, did you get the bundle with the Motion Plus built in?
No.
I wonder if that was different. Like if they saw hey, you have a regular Wii remote, plug in the Motion Plus, then I don't know. Continue.
Okay, so had to watch the 3-minute video. I got some other stuff done, but I had to watch the 3-minute video. Okay, whatever. Then I got into the game, and it's cutscene, and then that text goes 2 miles an hour. 2 miles an hour. Oh, I forgot to mention, I do have data, because I got into the game, and there were 2 links right there. And it's so they know I played the game, but they made me watch the video anyway.
You might have forgotten. Maybe there's a timer on it or something. Oh, you haven't played this game in a while. Let's send them the video again.
Did you forget how to work your game?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Well, then I have a problem because the game clearly has no faith in me. So, I started fresh file Legend of Zelda cutscenes. Slowest text I've ever seen. You can hold A and it doubles the speed, but double 1 mile an hour is 2 miles an hour. So I just sit through those for a while, did all the tutorial stuff like that. Finally got to the first surface area. Took me 80 minutes to get there. 80 minutes. I could have defeated the first dungeon in so many Zelda games in that span of time.
I feel like your argument is pretty much every modern game. Like comparing like Majora's Mask era games to newer games. I mean, granted, a lot of them do have lots of tutorials, and it is, I mean, think about like what was it? Assassin's Creed 3 had like a 4 or 5 hour thing before you even got the main assassin that you play as.
Yeah. I mean, Twilight Princess had the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not letting Twilight Princess get away with that either. That took a long time.
Okay, good. As long as you're not,
No, it's not. I'm not just picking on Skyward because it get a log thing. That was just one in a list of things I have a problem with.
All right, next item on the list. Let's go.
Next item up for bit is when the game has to remind me what 5 rupees are, or what 1 rupee is.
Oh yes.
I know what rupees are.
Yeah.
It's like what we talked about, where you thought the game said I forgot how to play the game.
Uh-huh.
It's like every time I restart Skyward Sword, it's like it forgot what I knew about rupees. Like, oh, you're right. Well, blue rupee is 5 rupees. God, I was a fool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in their defense for the rupee stuff, there have been colors of the rupees that have changed and their monetary values over the years. So,
which ones have changed though?
There was they added a new rupee, the yellow rupee that was 10 rupees.
Right.
Let's see. Blue has pretty much always been 5. Red's pretty much always been 20. But like they added a bunch of like odd ones now. Like they have a rupee that's like 300. Then they have like a 100 and a 200 and a 300 rupee.
Gold rupee is 200. A silver rupee is 100. A purple rupee is 50.
That's right. Okay, so it wasn't a 300. So the gold was the 200 one. Yeah. Anyways, but they only tell you that once the first time you get the item, right?
Every time you restart the game.
Every time you restart the game, it tells you again?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you just start the game, yeah. But like,
no. I mean, like every time I start a new session. Sorry, I should have worded that different. Every time I get a new play session.
Interesting.
I pick up the 5 rupee. You got 5 rupees. This is worth, you got the blue rupee. This is worth 5 rupees. Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. And then it does the same thing with like every other item. Like you got a monster claw. Be careful, it's really sharp. Oh, you got the amber amulet. Let's add this to your collection of 50, but not before I tell you what it is because you apparently forgot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I guess it did mention that. But it seemed like you could find subsequent ones. Maybe it was just the play session. Maybe I just had long play sessions, so it didn't faze me. But
I mean, Skyward Sword doesn't hold my hand as much as it does like squeeze it like a boa constrictor and just yanks me along this pathway.
Yeah, come along, Matt. Come on.
I know I gotta remember you're very special. Let me tell you what a blue rupee is again.
Yeah.
And then of course I got Fee, so I get to listen to her talk about battle statistics and what nonsense.
Is it Fee or is it Phi?
Oh, it's Phi. That's right, it's Phi.
Yeah. I've always said Phi, but
I always said Fee because I don't know. I thought that made sense, but then the Hyrule Warriors trailer came up. It's like it's Phi. I'm like, hey. Well, now we know what she is.
What's what's that? Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum? Is Fee and Phi spelled the same way?
I have no idea, man.
No.
I think it's Fe for Fee and Fi for Phi.
Maybe.
But I figured this is a Japanese game, so there's different rules.
Yeah. All new rules, all new pronunciation.
But I get to that's another thing. I get down to the surface, right?
Uh-huh.
And it goes, Phi comes out, and he goes, would you like me to explain what dowsing is? And I say, nope, I'm good. And he goes, okay. Well, here's what dowsing is. You should hold the C button, point at the thing you want. It's like, I told you I don't want to know what dowsing is. I got it. Why are you telling me anyway?
It's those yes/no things where they don't even care. It just fun. We're going to tell you anyway. Yeah. These all seem very minute things. Like I honestly don't remember any of this stuff because I guess it didn't faze me. But continue.
It's to me the analogy is like every reminder is like somebody throwing like a crumpled up thing of paper on the back of your head, right? It's like you get hit once. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But if you get hit every 5 minutes, then we have a problem. It's go time.
Yeah.
And okay, the other thing, that Wii Motion Plus.
Yeah.
No. I respect what Nintendo is trying to do and have like a one-to-one sword experience.
Yeah.
But that it works for the first 2 swings, and then you're all over the map, and you got to recalibrate.
So you're not very good at it. Confirmed.
No, not. Whoa. It's luckily you can just press like hit it to the center of the screen, press 1, or press on the down arrow, and that recalibrates it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're in the middle of a battle, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You want to know your weapon's going to work, you know?
Yeah. It always worked for me. But
did you have like the Wii Mote Plus?
Yep, I did have the Wiimote Plus. I don't know if there was any difference between that. Maybe there was, but
see, my friend told me like he has the Wii Motion Plus or the Wii Mote Plus, and he says he didn't have too much trouble with Skyward Sword. But since I did, and I have the Wii Motion Plus attachment, I'm thinking that could be a thing too.
Yeah, I mean, and I haven't done any like study or research on it to see if it needs to be recalibrated more often than the one that's built in. But I do think the dynamics of swinging the remote around when the Motion Plus is on the back. I mean, I don't know where the accelerometers and the Motion Plus is centered in the new Wii Remote Plus, but if it's like centered on maybe in the center of the remote, that would change things quite a bit. Because if you did have Motion Plus on the end here of like your sword hilt and you're swinging around, it's going to be moving and gyrating more often than if it's centered up in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see that as maybe a factor. But yeah, I never had much problem with it. I think I don't know, the biggest thing that helped me with the motion controls was to make more exaggerated motions with Motion Plus. Because like with the Wii remote, we all know that you could just waggle and it would do the same thing as if you swung your arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like in order for Motion Plus to work really well, you really did have to swing it right. You couldn't just like do a wrist twist. So like when I was playing the game and I was swinging my sword and making deliberate strokes, it worked great. So
I can tell you that was me.
Yeah.
I had a friend who told me that like I'm the guy like you would get in the commercial who's doing the exaggerated motion and look like they're really having fun. Because I always stand up when I'm playing the Wii games because motion. Yeah. So I always stand up when I'm playing them. In games like Force Unleashed and Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess, like I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and it was a huge gamble by Nintendo as far as the whole gameplay is predicated on the fact that people get, and 100% of the time it works. If not, then it's not a good experience for people.
Exactly.
So, got a little bug flying.
Okay. Got another point.
Yeah.
How many times do you think you visit each area in Skyward Sword?
That's a good question. I mean, you do retrace. I would say you go through all the main areas twice, like at least main areas twice.
Is it twice or is it 3 times?
I think it's just twice. But I could be wrong. I mean, because I actually think it is twice because you have that new area. What was it? That sand ocean type area, and that was just south of the second world area. And then you have that other new area that was too long now. But yeah, you do retrace the same areas on the ground. I would say twice. I mean, and you're probably going back and forth from the Skyloft quite a bit too, but.
I guess I would say 3 times if you include the Silent Realm.
Yeah.
Which the Silent Realm was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's stealth, and it's like if they activate, like the pressure's really on you to like get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like that, I loved the stealth sequence, or I loved the Silent Realm sequences.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Yeah.
But mine is revisiting those areas. Like
I
want to explore new areas. Like when we first heard about like Skyward Sword, it was kind of like it looked like it was going to be like a Wind Waker, but there's going to be more there because we have more advanced technology, and it's in the air, and then it's also going to be on the ground. So it's like, oh, we get to see all this stuff, and it's like The sky is nothing. There's nothing in the sky. There's like Fun Island and Skylot, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then on the surface, it's like 3 areas that you have to go through like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just doesn't feel like that they took it. They could take advantage of as much of the areas as much as they could. Like Zelda, one of the big things about Zelda is it's an exploration game. You want to explore. You want to go find these new awesome things, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not really much to explore in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
You go to the destination, and then you go in like this exaggerated giant hallway, whether it be a lava hallway or a forest hallway or something like that. Like, I never really looked around too much for like little hidden secret things because there just wasn't much to do.
Yeah.
I just had to go to the objective and listen to Fi talk to me about going to the objective. I'm going to the objective, Fi. Let's go.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, and I did feel like it was a step back from Twilight Princess in terms of dungeon variety or or just even environment variety. I mean, in Twilight Princess, you've got you got the usuals, the forest, the water, the lava, but then you've got, the deserts, you've got all of the, you got all sorts of cool stuff. Then you have the ice area. That dungeon was really cool in Twilight Princess. The, I don't know what you'd call it, like the ice house or something.
The mansion?
Yeah. That was a really fun and unique one. I did like, for the dungeons that it did have in Skyward Sword, I did like the challenge with them as far as the bosses. I felt like the bosses were more than your typical hit 3 times or 3 segments and they're done. Like one of my favorite bosses in that was Kalaktos in the Ancient Cistern.
Yes,
dungeon.
he was a great fight.
Yeah, great. I mean, and I felt like, when the controls are working well, it works great. And
when the controls are working well.
Yeah.
When the controls are working well.
Yeah, I think they work more often than not. But like I felt like battles with just even like regular enemies, the ones that would like block you, and a lot of them are pretty easy, to start off with. But when you get the guy that has 4 arms and 4 swords, and you have to eventually stab him in order to get a hit on him, it added more thought to the combat than in previous Zeldas where you're just slash, hit, regardless of if they have shields or whatever. And I did like, being able to climb over the big fat guy that had the huge shield? And
yeah, I do not like those guys. I hated them. I hate them more in Hyrule Warriors, but that's another rant.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. It added more thought to the combat when it works. When it's not like, I want to stab, and it's like, oh, horizontal swipe. No, a stab. And then he hits me, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I felt like that the combat expanded almost sufficiently, or at its peak, through Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
And to a lesser extension, Wind Waker. Which, because Wind Waker, they added those, I can't remember what they're called, those chance moments where the A flashes, and you hit it, and you counter.
The parry moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you basically turn a defensive situation into an offensive one. Yeah.
Right. And Wind Waker was first because it added a variety of moves, but it was just hitting one button. And then Twilight Princess comes along and it's okay, you can attack him this way head on, or you can shield bash and stun him and then hit him, or you can double tap left and then hit A and you roll around and then you hit him from the back. Or you could
some spin attack, uppercut, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could do the mortal draw, which is really awesome. Which is you have no defense, but your attack does double.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
See, that added much more. That added thought and strategy, and I thought that added enough. Mm-hmm. Skyward Sword, it added some, but I felt like the motion controls was a step back from what we already established with Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I could see that. There wasn't many special moves that you could do. You really just had the spin attack where you move both of them left or right.
Yeah, you had to go like this.
Yeah, and you could do a front one too, right?
Yeah.
Where you did both of them forward or both of them back, so you could do a reverse uppercut type thing. Yeah, they definitely simplified it, and I could see that because really, when you boil the combat down, you're, swiping from the left, swiping from the right, up or down, or jabbing, and then you have the spin attacks. So coming from Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, that would be going down a notch as far as the amount of variety with the swordplay.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Staphos with the 4 swords and stuff, and like figuring out which side. And he would have been a great like boss fight if I didn't encounter a bunch of other enemies that already did that.
Right.
Like the little moblins, like they have their sword and they're going like this.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So it's like that's just another variation of the same like combat that I've already done.
Right. Yeah, I guess it does like repeat itself throughout.
Like to me, I guess like the Koloktos fight, sort of, but the Girahim fight really kind of like helped exemplify like what sword combat could have been. Because it was definitely a lot more like faking out, and then like you can like swipe in his direction to like knock back projectiles. Like if he shot that as like those darts at you in a certain row, you can go like this and knock all the darts back.
Yeah, I felt like that was a great first battle to show off the motion controls, but I did feel like a lot of people just tried to swing the whole time, and they're like, why can't I hit him? He keeps grabbing my sword, and like it could be a really cool first boss, or it could be a very frustrating one, because if you keep swinging and he keeps grabbing your sword, you in real life have not had your sword stopped, right? Your arm has gone fully forward, so now the game thinks your sword's up here because he's holding on to it, and your hand's down here now. So I could see where people like really got completely turned around motion-wise during that battle. Once you get like the subtleties of the sword and being able to like, kind of lure him over a little bit and then be able to, quickly go around to the other side. I mean, he's an easy boss, but
yeah. And then he gets a little harder the second time you fight him, and then a little bit harder the third time you fight him.
Yeah.
And then that brings me around to my next point.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you want something to say?
Well, I was actually probably going to reinforce your next point, but the what's that big black thing that you always fight?
The Imprisoned?
Yeah.
That jerk?
Those sections were too repetitive. Like, to me, I don't know if you have played Phantom Hourglass, or if anyone's played Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
You keep going back to the same dungeon, and it's kind of not really a spoiler, but the first dungeon you go to, or one of the first dungeons you go to, is the last dungeon you go to. You just keep going like different levels, and you keep going down and down and down, further. But like you keep having to retraverse it a lot of the time, and you get abilities that'll get you down there quicker. But again, it's the same building, and you're like, okay, this isn't really the 10th dungeon. This is just the 6th time I've been here.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the Imprisoned, I definitely got sick of the Imprisoned.
Yeah, the Imprisoned and Girahim and Maldark, that Scorpion. You had to fight him twice.
Oh yeah.
3 times if you wanted that Hylian shield.
Yep. They did find me on that.
And they were like the combat variant of retreading the same worlds again, like going through the forest again, or going through the volcano again. Like they were just the combat version of that, so I think it was more noticeable. But it's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's like we're just repeating the same elements, but you're trying to crank up the difficulty and throw in a couple new things in there. And that's not what Nintendo does. If they want to do something like that, they'll have a whole new thing, and then they'll have that little subtle thing in there, like that subtle thing that you learned, and it'll build up to a much bigger thing. Not the same thing, but it has like a small variation.
Right. Yeah, I could see the repetition as a disadvantage.
Oh, it's a huge disadvantage. Okay, next point.
I would mention that Skyward Sword is not a heavily hyped, nor it is a heavily critically acclaimed Zelda game. So
it was
when it came out,
when they first released.
Yeah.
I would not give that game a 10.
Continue.
I would give it like.
Well, who gave it a
6? I would give it a 6.
Who gave it a 10?
Game Informer gave it a 10. I remember that. Like 10 out of 10.
Hmm.
I think GameSpot gave it a 10 too.
Let's
Know who can answer this? Metacritic.
yeah, let's look it up. Let's look it up here. That's got a 93 Metascore.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
I'm well within my rights to choose this thing.
yeah. I think so.
It is not a 93. And okay, so I got sidetracked a little bit now.
Yeah.
That okay, so that nonsense that I had to go through the second time or the third time, whenever it is, I had to go to that forest area and
Uh-huh.
help that dragon lady that I already helped. Like, and she's like, "You need to prove yourself. You're a hero." And it's like, didn't I just go through 2 dungeons to help you out? And it's like, no, you're not a hero. Find these musical notes, musical tadpoles. It's right
Yeah.
through here, like it's some kind of Banjo Kazooie game.
Yeah.
What was that? That is like the most egregious example I've ever seen of. Okay, we need to pad the length of this game. I'm out of ideas. Do you have any ideas? No. Let's add some tadpoles.
I could see that, but I still think that's a very small piece of the game, and I mean, like you mentioned padding the length, that doesn't pad the length that much, really.
I think it does.
Like how much time did that add?
That's got to be like a 20-minute thing.
Yeah, maybe.
And then it's also, and okay, the tadpole thing comes right before you get set up for like the next phase of the game. Like, you know how games have phases. Like,
Yeah.
in Ocarina of Time, you collected the 3 medallion or 3 spiritual stones.
Yep.
You know you're gonna enter the next phase of the game. Like, you know there's gonna be like a new section. Like Twilight Princess, after you get the fuse shadow completed, you know there's like you're gonna enter a new section. And Skyward Sword had that as well, where you entered the lighthouse and then you learned you had to build like this stronger sword. You knew that was a new section, and you knew that there's going to be like stronger challenges, right?
Right.
So like, all right, what's my first great challenge going to be? Collecting tadpoles.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? I mean, that's not a build up to heroics. That is, if they wanted to put the tadpole thing in there, they should have put it in like earlier in the game, because
Yeah.
it's like, you're still trying to learn the controls. Maybe you just got the earring thing, which, by the way, you didn't just get the earring thing that makes you swim around. Like, you've already had that for a little while.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe you just got it and you need to learn some controls. Put it there. You don't put it late in the game where, like, everything's already escalated as much as it possibly can, before the final boss fight. Then you're just, like, that just feels disingenuous. I don't know. I'm really steamed about that. That's what I'm trying to say.
It sounds like it.
I've been getting good and worked up about this game for a little while now.
That's good. This is the Koopa Cast to get it out on.
This is indeed the Koopa Cast to get it out on. I guess I should talk about some good things, because Skyward Sword is not all terrible. The music in Skyward Sword was definitely like the best, or some of the best Zelda music out there. Because it's the first time we got a fully realized orchestrated soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I thought first of all, there were far fewer soundtracks in Skyward Sword than there are in Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did a numbers game one time, and it's like Skyward Sword had like 20 something, I want to say, like high 20s, low 30s maybe in their soundtrack list. And then Twilight Princess had like 60. So right there, but like they had a full orchestra, and I thought the music was like dramatic when it needed to be dramatic. Like, it built up perfectly. Like, I feel like they really utilized, this orchestra that they have access to. Like, maybe to even a grade higher than like Mario and Mario Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, and for not like Zelda always has like musical instruments throughout. I mean, that's always a heavy. Either you're collecting those like in Link's Awakening, or the Ocarina, the Wind Waker. The music's always played a big part in Zelda games. So I felt like the orchestrated soundtrack was kind of their, big thing. But even like some of the other stuff you did in the game, just involved music heavily. It seemed, and it did really good job of the tones throughout.
You mean like when you played the harp?
Oh, I didn't even remember. What was the harp?
You got the harp from Zelda after she gets like gone. She goes to the past or whatever,
Right.
and it's like you think you're gonna learn all these musical stuff, like you could do this or whatever,
Right.
with the Meat Motion Plus. And it's like, here's how you play the harp. You just wave your arm back and forth like this,
Yeah.
and like in a rhythm. Like
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, that makes yeah.
that was the stupidest instrument I've ever seen. That's like the most. That was the least involving instrument since like A Link to the Past, where you just push a button and you're playing the ocarina.
Yeah, what would have been better is if they had a violin or something.
Right. Or just like play the notes on the harp.
Yeah.
Like Zelda could play the notes on the harp, and you're just like do do do, and it's like
Yeah. It's like if you do that on a harp, it's just gonna do that. That's all it's gonna do. Like.
yeah,
It's like going to the piano and just go.
yeah, pretty much. And it's like you wanted to take advantage of the motion stuff, right?
Yeah.
You want to take advantage of this new Motion Plus? Give us like notes. Even put lines on the screen. I wouldn't even mind lines on the screen.
Yeah.
And like you have to like pluck each of the notes that you see on the screen.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then I would like the harp. This was like awful. This is like it almost felt like an afterthought. It's like we got to give him an instrument. Give him the harp. How's he gonna play it? Like a harp.
Yeah. Just do it. Do a rhythm thing or something.
Just do the rhythm thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, back to good points, I guess. They did a little better job with the characters, I feel like, than they did in like Twilight Princess.
Yeah, the character development seemed a little better. I know people don't like all the cutscenes and stuff, but I felt like Zelda and Link's relationship made more sense in Skyward Sword than in any of the other ones. Now, in the other ones, they didn't really claim that they were setting up a relationship, but it kind of really.
Right.
Ocarina of Time was really the only one where you have him seeing her for the first time as kids, and so he has kind of that emotional attachment. He goes through time, sees her again, so you can see there's some emotion there, even if there's not many words. But Skyward Sword definitely had more, plot, or whatever.
And it was like an 80-minute tutorial section, but at least I felt something for some of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, okay. I understand that Zelda's important. You didn't have to tell me. Like, I can figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Like the actions already made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. For them stepping up the cutscene amount drastically over the other Zelda games, I thought they did a pretty decent job of the character development.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like Zelda did the most in this game too.
Yeah. She's definitely a more active Zelda. Like in Twilight Princess, what did Zelda do? She kind of just
she lost a fight, and then she sat up in a tower,
and
then she was brainwashed by Ganon.
Yeah, granted the game's called Twilight Princess, so it's I guess focusing more on Midna, and Midna was an awesome character.
Right.
But yeah, Zelda was very much a ancillary character in that.
Yeah, she was just kind of there. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. But yeah, like Wind Waker, I thought they did a cool job. Starting off with Tetra and.
Yeah, and then they sealed her away though.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool.
I thought that was a terrible move. It's like we already know that Tetra can take care of herself. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're stronger together, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing again. So in this one, Zelda's kind of off her own adventure, and you can kind of see it in the closing cutscenes. Like she's going to different locations and trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, but kind of frustrating too. Like you're always one step behind her, as you're going through. Like, oh, Zelda must have just been here. She unlocked this or whatever, And what was that one in the desert where you see Girahim and Link does his big try and stop him there. And I did like how they put you in Link's shoes more in the cutscenes because he's supposed to be your avatar, so you're supposed to be living the story through him. And I thought they did a good job of that. Like he's like observing, like, oh, Zelda's doing this thing. I need to run help her. And then she ends up, going back in time, and then you've got Gear Him, and you've got all this stuff going on. So I thought like it had some fun moments throughout, but I did think that, and we're already spoiling things, so hopefully people have beaten the game. But I really felt like Demise was a disappointment for an end character.
Absolutely.
Because like, man, they really train you, like with all the bosses. There's a lot of variety to their their usual, I don't know, their programming or whatever. Like their different phases that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, like Demise's phases were even more simplistic than Girahim's, I felt. And like, what was I think when I first beat the game, Katie actually played through the whole game too. When she got to Demise, it was like a completely different battle almost. Like when I played it, there's like one thing you can do where you can like ricochet something back at him, or
probably it's a Zelda game.
Yeah, but there's something you can do like that kills him quicker, essentially. And I remember when I first beat it, like I beat him like very fast, and I was like, oh, there's got to be another phase or something. So I was like waiting for him to turn into like some crazy creature or something, and it's like, oh no, that's it.
Yeah, it's like Ganon put more of a fight than you did.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't want to like overshadow Ganon, I guess, because you want Ganon to still be the big bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want Demise to overshadow, but still, I mean, they kind of insinuate that this big evil that became Ganon came from Demise, right?
Yeah, like he's the origin of all like Ganon's like evil and power and stuff like that.
Yeah. So why can't he be crazy evil? I mean, or crazy
or crazy powerful? You know?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I did feel like he was very underpowered, especially when you get to him. You've already done a lot in the game. Now, granted, if you stop the game like right before fighting him, and you don't play it for several months or a year or something, then you come back and you get right into the Demise fight, yeah, it's probably a little harder.
Nope, you won't get right back into the Demise fight. First, you have to watch that 3-minute video on how to use the Wii Motion Plus.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're playing the game, like he's kind of a pushover, for all the other enemies they have you go through up through that point. But.
Yeah, there were a lot of like bosses and just regular enemies that were stronger than Demise.
Yeah. So. And yeah, I don't know. Even like the setup, like that kind of like Sea of Glass type look for the fight,
mm-hmm.
It gave me vibes of where you're fighting Shadow Link and Ocarina of Time, which I mean that's a cool setup, a set piece there, but I don't know, it just wasn't very epic, I guess.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. Like they could have fought in Skyloft and. The mistakes would have been raised there. Like you were like, oh man, this is my town. He's destroying it. Got to stop him.
Yeah, like I mean, here's what I would have done. Like, do you remember fighting Ridley in Metroid Prime 3, where you're going through that you're falling the whole time? Like that's a really cool dynamic use for a boss fight, I think. I mean, granted, I mean it's still pretty static. You're essentially falling down an infinite tube or whatever, this infinite pipe. But like there was a lot of stuff that Ridley was doing throughout, and you were like dodging debris or different stuff like that. I mean, think about if they did start up in Skyloft and like he cracks, one of the planetoids or something that comes crashing down on the planet, and you have to like skydive and you're like fighting him on the way down. I mean, they could have done so much cool stuff. I don't know if you've played Lego City Undercover.
I have not.
The last sequence of Lego City Undercover is probably one of the coolest sequences in any video game. I'll spoil it for you, but you fight on this space station,
mm-hmm.
And it ends up breaking apart. Self-destruct sequence. You're fighting a boss up there. Anyways, the thing starts breaking apart. Well, from space all the way down to Earth, you're like just like space jumping, like Star Trek or something. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
you're just kind of like diving through. There's all this debris you're having to dodge and all this other stuff you're doing. I mean, it was just a very cool set piece, and like stuff's like lighting on fire as it's going through the atmosphere, and I don't know. It was just a very kind of an epic way, and like you just come down and like, wow, thanks for saving the world, dude. It's like, oh yeah, I do feel kind of cool after space jumping, but I don't know. Anyway, I am talking too much.
Skyward Sword could have handled that better. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I have any more complaints about Skyward Sword. I pretty much got a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, you have some good gripes with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah, I one thing, just in closing, like mention. I mean, we both mentioned a Zelda game. I mean, that kind of has to say something about. We mentioned a very beloved franchise, but we still find little idiosyncrasies that we don't like about some of the games, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really hope. I mean, my expectations were really high for Skyward Sword. They're high for every Zelda game, naturally. But I think the biggest gripe that I have in Zelda games is kind of the lack of compelling side quests or compelling things to do in the world. I mean, you mentioned Zelda is a game of exploration. Well, give me incentive to explore.
Right.
Like you mentioned, kind of like the emptiness of Ocarina of Time. I think Skyward Sword was even just as empty, if not more. I mean,
it was more empty.
Oh yeah, like what's that whole area next to the Bridge of Eldin where you did like a bunch of those little fights? I mean, you fought Ganondorf there too, but I mean that thing was like just flat. I mean, it may have had like a couple fences or something you jump over.
Right. Yeah, but it was just there was nothing there.
Yeah, like it was just so empty, and I hope that Nintendo said, hey, we're working on all these ideas of things we can do in this open world, right? Hopefully that means we're adding more compelling content for some stuff for you to do in the world, because I don't want to just like have this bland world and I end up fast traveling everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I've played plenty of those open world games, like Far Cry games or things like that, where you don't give me enough incentive to traverse the world through normal means. Once I get a fast travel, I'm hitting that all the time. You know what I mean? Like help me enjoy the game, enjoy the exploration aspect more.
100% agree. Yeah. And really take all the lessons, Nintendo. Take all the lessons you learned from the previous games and apply them.
Yes.
Please don't give us another Skyward Sword, please.
Yeah. Give us I want a lot of variety with dungeons. Twilight Princess had a lot of that.
I think Twilight Princess had the best bosses of the bunch.
Yeah.
Galactus was all out of fun,
yeah.
but on average, the bosses in Twilight Princess were like the best.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, like even what's the sky dungeon where you get the 2 claw shots and you're fighting the dragon?
Yeah, that city, that Aloco city or whatever.
Yeah. That was a really cool dungeon. Cool dungeon and cool boss fight.
Mm-hmm. And that underwater boss fight with that sea snake thing.
Yeah. That was really cool, and that one used the claw shot really well, I thought. I think that probably used the claw shot hook shot combination better than any water dungeon to that point.
I think they used the claw shot mechanic and the swimming mechanic better than any other dungeon.
Yeah. Because like think about some of the other ones, like where in Ocarina of Time, the water dungeon, you just like don't you like pull a little brain out and you swipe at it, but you're mostly on the land the whole time. You're not really swimming that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't expect this podcast to evolve into like what we want to see in the next Zelda game. But we both picked a Zelda game, so
yeah, it seemed like a natural progression. I mean, we could have a whole wish list Koopa Kast of what we want in the new Zelda. We should definitely do that as whenever they announce a new trailer or something. We'll have to do something.
We'll do it January 2016.
Yeah. Whenever we'll hear something about it.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
All right, and I think with that we're going to end our Koopa Kast there.
Sounds good.
So, Justin, I want to thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
And readers, I want to thank you for listening to our Koopa Kast. This is our 73rd episode. If you would like to see more episodes of our Koopa Kast, you can always go to our YouTube page, youtube.com, and then just look up Pure Nintendo or PNM. You can also check out our website, purenintendo.com/KoopaKast, and you can find a backlog of all our episodes there. We like interacting with our followers. You can find like our Twitter handles are right here on our episode. I'm at Purely Matt. He's at Purely Justin. If you have a question for the podcast, you can always tweet to at PureNintendo using the hashtag KoopaKast, or you can wait till we do another Koopa Kast and go to that post on PureNintendo.com and leave a comment below. We always read them, and we'll be happy to read them aloud as well. So with that, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.